Welcome everybody, my name is Michael and today we're discussing about number 32, Elrond. It was number 31 yesterday. Both of these, Tezos and Elrond, are up when the markets are blood red for everybody. And look at that, over 52.2%, but this was much higher actually. So Elrond at $281, $5.4 billion market cap. We've actually had a couple interesting players, so one of which is, as you can see, it is red all over the place except Polkadot, and this was actually much higher yesterday, last night, but it's fallen down a little bit. Sorry about that. It's fallen down a little bit. It was approaching $40, but now people have been taking their profits. XRP has also moved up to 6th position. A lot of people are going to be like, whoa, what's happened over there? Solana number 7, XRP number 6. Even though it's down, Solana also fell down, and both of these have done some interesting movements, but they're only $3 billion apart from each other. Now, Polkadot is up to number 8, and it finally beat Dogecoin, and it is trailing down a further distance from Solana than the difference over here, but there's a lot that could still change within the top 10 positions over the next week. I'm excited for Dogecoin to move down. I want this out of here. I want some other absolutely valuable cryptocurrencies on that list. Chainlink did have a position at number 13 not too long ago. As you see, it's not a crazy difference, but it is down today, not having the best of days. Same with Litecoin. Algorand, number 18, still 18. It was having a fantastic past few days. Now it's down just a little bit, but there's still some positive news around it. And even though it's $2.07, a lot of people took profits and they're happy with where Algorand is. And that was actually a pretty popular video that we've had. But guys, Elrond, this is a coin that is just synonymous with the martini guy for me because he's been talking about this so much. This was from a while ago, so I'm actually pretty happy to see it finally popping off. Guys, what is Elrond? First of all, let's take a look at what the tokenomics are. So we're at 280 bucks, and if we scroll down all the way here, we see that the fully diluted market cap almost $9 billion. So we see a bit of a difference here. So what's that mean? If we scroll down, we see that a circulating supply of almost 20 million Elrond gold. And then we have a total supply of 22.393 million and a max supply of almost 31.5 EGLD. So the all-time high was actually last night. This was pretty exciting stuff. 19 hours ago, $284.92. Oh yeah. All-time low was actually October 20th, 2020. So a lot of people have seen that cryptocurrencies around March and April when the stock market crashed and the whole pandemic started and all of that. A lot of cryptocurrencies also had their all-time low. Now, this is actually a few months later, which is pretty interesting considering everything. But over the past 3 months, look at that. It has been just skyrocketing. It used to be below $100. Here's $83, and people were purchasing at $64.50, $58. $58 to suddenly $281 within, this was back in June. This is back in late June. So 3 months later, and you have made thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on how confident you were in Elrond. But there's been some people that were really confident. Now, what's interesting is that back in 2021, but at the beginning of the year, back before Bitcoin did its massive crash from $65,000 peak, back before Ethereum crashed, back before a lot of things crashed, we were approaching a pretty good position and we were at $240, but everything fell down with the market. So this was actually perfectly normal because everything was going high here and then boom. And over here, this is explained by profit taking. People were very happy with the profits they made because maybe they purchased at $13, $12, $7, and then all the way up over here at $200. Hello, that's crazy because that's just within a matter of a few months. So if we look at the entire year to date, It's pretty green. Look at that. It's absolutely green all across the board. And if we look at ever since it was first listed, which this was back in September of 2020, which would explain why it wasn't able to get down in March or April, because it didn't exist, and at least it wasn't listed yet. I mean, it did exist because it was being worked on. But for this project, look, it only had one slightly period, and then this when everything else was but it's reaching new all-time highs. So this is a prime candidate for something that could be in the top 20s pretty soon. Now, when it does get there, potentially, it could be $500. That's right, $500. That's pretty crazy to think about. And almost $1 billion worth of 24-hour volume. So what the heck is it? Sharding, right there. You might be familiar with that from Ethereum, but thanks to sharding, it offers extremely fast transaction speeds. It includes fintech, DeFi, and the Internet of Things. Its smart contracts execution platform is reportedly capable of 15,000 transactions per second. That's pretty crazy right there, because we have some of the top crypto projects. Obviously, these are older projects, and we have such as Bitcoin and Ethereum, and we have plenty of others that are able to get up to here. But there's plenty of projects that can't do 15,000 within a matter of a few hours. This is doing 15,000 per second. It's got a 6-second latency and a 0.001 transaction cost, less than a penny. Pretty amazing stuff. So its EGLD is used for paying network fees, staking, and rewarding validators. The mainnet went live on July 2020. It was invented by some entrepreneurs. One of the founders was involved with NEM. He was an early investor in Zaliqua, Tezos, and Binance. And what's interesting is now that it's kind of par and par with Tezos, just one position away. Really, really interesting. But he probably made good money with Binance right there. So what makes it unique? Elrond seeks to build up an ecosystem that establishes EGLD as a store of value asset. To achieve it, it has a network that's running on 2169 validator nodes. They're split into 4 shards, 3 execution shards capable of 5,400 transactions per second each, and 1 coordination shard, the meta chain. Elrond's adaptive state sharding architecture completely shards state, transactions, and network. It can scale by adding an additional shard when the throughput demand is unmet. It was tested to run 263,000 transactions per second in a public environment with 1,500 nodes from 29 countries in 50 shards that were grouped together. That's pretty crazy. 263,000 transactions per second. So just because it's doing 15,000 transactions per second right now does not mean that it does not have a crazy potential. It is able to go even further. And this is the evolution of cryptocurrency. This is the evolution of many projects. As we go further into DeFi, as we go further into fintech, we're going to see a lot of huge advancement. And one day we're going to see millions of transactions per second. Not a problem. That's going to be easy stuff. But right now it's, we got to be happy with what we've got. So it's kind of, we're working our way up there. In order to increase adoption, the project also supports developers building on the platform, and they're earning 30% of the smart contract fees. Validator nodes receive a 36% annual percentage rate. So that's a pretty good percentage, especially when you compare it to stocks. Now, there's other projects that pay more, but for a project that's within the top 50, this is pretty good stuff. Elrond was first issued on Binance chain under the name ERD. It changed, but 20 billion supply, 500 million were burned, and then the company launched a token swap event in September 2020. Basically, there was a swap between ERC20 and BEP2 tokens. So as a result of that, token supply was reduced from 20 billion because of that swap to 20 million. The swap ratio was 1,000 ERD for 1 EGLD. Now, Elrond's native token was first made available for purchase through a private sale. Almost every project nowadays is going to have a private sale. 19% of its initial supply was sold, 7.5% made available immediately, and another 15.41% released every 3 months. Later, there was an IEO on Binance. 25% was sold. It was made available immediately. Of the remaining 56%, 7% was reserved for ecosystem rewards, 50% 50% released immediately and 50% after 6 months of that 7%. 8.5% for marketing grants and an accelerator pool for DApp developers. 81.1.7% released immediately and 9.41% every 6 months. 2% for a community fund with 33.3% released immediately, 33.3% after 6 months, and the last third after 12 months. 2.5% for advisors released after 1 year. This is pretty standard for a lot of projects. 19% for the founders and core team members, and 10% released after 6 months, 10% after 12 months, 15% after 18, 24, 30, and 36. So 20% after 42 months. Now let's just do the math for this. If this is a project that's been around for 2 years, 19% for the founders and core team members, you've got quite a, and this isn't including 17% for the company that, needs to actually pay for salaries and do the legitimate work and ecosystem support and whatnot. This is just to 19% for, hey, we've got this money, and the founders can do whatever they want with that, and they can hire and if there's marketing or if there's something else that is mentioned up here, but whatever. This is 19%, and it goes for a pretty long period, 42 months, but 19% of something that's $5.3 billion right now. That's over $1 billion. $1 billion. 10% of $1 billion, so basically 100 million gets released after 12 months. 100 million was released after 6 months. But at the time, it wasn't valued that much. It was valued a few $1 million. So what's interesting is they're getting more money as time goes on. They're going to get the full $1 billion, basically, but they still haven't even reached the end. So they got quite a fair amount of money waiting for them, 20% of the 19%. So 200 million, over $200 million. That could be worth potentially 500 million, even more after 42 months. 36, 3 years, 42, less than three and a half, actually. Here's their website. The internet scale blockchain is live. Oh yeah, let's post Earth right there to make it look spacey, but let's take a look at the team. So we got Lucien Tadea, Benjamin Minku. These are the co-founders, and then this guy as well, because they're brothers. We got a few others. So let's see how they got a pretty big team. Yeah. Wow, that's a lot of advisors. I would say that the 3 co-founders probably get a good 2% each from the 19%. So you got 6% of the 19%. Actually, probably more. 3% each. 3% each. So they get 9%, and then just a little over half goes and gets distributed to the other, because it's a pretty big team, right? Maybe at the beginning they had a larger percentage, but maybe they also sold off some tokens. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing, just kind of figuring things out. But anyways, all of these guys are basically millionaires, except maybe the heads, which they're making a good 6 figures. So they're going to be future millionaires. Maybe some of the core developers are making easy 200, 300,000. Who knows? Because especially like this guy, senior software engineer, like this guy is definitely making some good money right there, like probably like $300,000. Yeah. So, and notice how all of these guys have very similar last names. Why? Because they're from Romania. They're coming from a country where it's notably very, very poor. So suddenly for some person like this guy to have a few $1 million and for his company to be worth over a few billion and for it to be going up and for all of his tokens to be going up in value, and probably, I'm sure he's got some Ethereum and Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Like this guy's he's going to be a multimillionaire, and he might have a chance at being a centimillionaire, or even potentially a billionaire in the future, depending on his investments. Who knows? But for Romania, this guy is essentially a billionaire already for Romania. That's pretty crazy because in these countries, it's pretty poor. You got people who are making a few $100s per month. And then suddenly this guy, boom, a few million. That's pretty amazing stuff. I'm not saying, to put anything down. Romania is very close to Poland. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying, wow, that's even for Poland and for Ukraine, for a lot of these countries that are nearby here, anybody who's like, this is pretty insane stuff. They're doing amazing stuff. And it's also not as easy for them as people who might be in Silicon Valley, for example. They don't have access to these big investment funds. They don't have access to rich families and tons of money, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult. But they were able to come out on top, so pretty exciting stuff. And before Elrond, he was the CEO of MetaChain, and he was also working for NEM, and that's how he got his start. A year and 6 months at NEM. That's pretty cool. That all the way back in 2014, and he got a bachelor's degree in economics. Paid off pretty well. German University of Sib. I read that almost like Shibu. Shibu Inu. Okay, yeah, guys. This has been today's video about Elrond. See you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.